Okie dokie, ladies. Welcome to another self love conversation. This month we are talking about love and relationships. And tonight we have Miss Danielle Savory. We're going to talk about some sex, y'all. Now, let me tell you, if you are watching this and you live and you got it up loud, you probably want to turn it down because you know how my mouth gets too, right?
Phew, I'm glad we covered that.
Know it. I'm so glad. I tell the ladies all the time, let me tell you, relationship and all that stuff, I can't help you. If you're trying to love yourself and do all that, I can help you with that. But we have to bring in the experts. And so we have a sex coach here, ladies, because if you need to pump it up in the bedroom, if you need to get some advice, I think you guys better pay attention and ask some questions. Danielle, thank you so much for being here and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I've been checking out your stuff and I'm honored to be here. It's going to be fun.
Oh my God. So, first, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this field?
That's a great question. I think it's like one of those things where you're like, how did I end up here? And then you look back and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
My like formal education background is in neuroscience. I was like, wanted to be overachiever, brain surgeon, like all the
Right.
nonsense, not for any of the right reasons, not because I was loving myself, but because I wanted external validation, right? But
Right.
on this track to getting there, I loved the brain. I was also studying Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist psychology. And then I just hit a place in my personal life where just everything kind of fell apart. And I struggled a lot with my body and with health issues. And I was bedridden for 2 years. And during this time was also right after my husband and I got married. And I struggled a lot because my body was like, feel it hurt, it hurt to do activities of daily living, let alone have sex. And we also wanted a baby, and I was struggling with fertility, and I lost 2 pregnancies, and like all of this stuff. And I just started paying attention, as I dove more into mindfulness to help heal my body, the correlations between what was going on in my brain and my desire and my ability to feel pleasure or feel anything in my body. It felt so disconnected and so numb. And through this healing relationship, I really allowed myself to dive deep into exploring more an inquiry behind my relationship with my sexuality. I have a past of sexual trauma, and then going through body issues and just all of the messages we hear as women and the duties and the obligations. And then once I had kids, and it was just like all of it, right? And I was like, women need to know about this. We need to have this conversation. It's time to stop, being in this place of shame and confusion and frustration. And our sexuality, and when we like really start loving every single delicious inch of ourselves, and we can do that, it opens up so much more potential. Like it allows you as a woman to stop like leaving out parts of us. And so what I found from my own journey, but also sharing this now with hundreds and hundreds of women, is you get to just be more bold in general and more vibrant and more unapologetic, and like, hitting other types of goals in your life, because this part isn't put on the back burner anymore. It's not
Right.
forgotten about, and it's really embraced. So that's kind of the snippet of how I got here.
And so let's get into it. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
we as women, we are told that we have to take care of our bodies and uh, especially if we're of a certain age, you don't go out looking for trouble. You have to dress a certain way, you have to look a certain way, and all of that starts to suppress your sexuality. If you like having
Exactly.
sex, or if you like the pleasure or anything like that, you're considered to be fast. You're considered to be, you know what? You're considered to be all
Yeah.
of these things, right? And so the is not only people in the family and everything, is also society that's saying that,
Mhm.
right? You
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
have the people that you like, the men who are saying that we want good
Mhm.
girls, we don't want anyone who's fast. So
Yeah,
what we do is we suppress our feelings,
exactly.
our pleasures, because we want to be considered the good girl, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you teach women that it is okay to really embrace their body and really accept the fact that they too have that ability to know that they can be pleasured and that they can be desirable and sexual?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you bring up so many good points, right? It's not just our family or our religion, or it's society as a whole, it's culture. And really what I work with women is helping like rewire the patriarchy out of your brain, because that's
Mm,
really what we're talking about here,
right.
right? And all of these messages that we've been fed, and learning how to like take a different look at them, take a look that this was a structure and a system that was meant to suppress us, was meant to oppress us, and it's not serving us anymore. And that we're at a time in our culture, I believe too, where it's safer for us to do that and to use our voices and to be able to own our pleasure. And what's so interesting is, I think a lot of the fear, like you said, like, well, men want this,
That's right.
is like, do you want that kind of man? Right? Like that's the question we have to ask. Like, is do you want the kind of man that says it's not okay for you to embrace your own body? And if you do, then that that's going to be something that you're buying into as well. But for most of the women that I talk to, they're like, oh, I haven't really thought of it that way. And the way that we've always been presented with our sexuality is that the goal is to be desirable, right?
Correct.
The goal is to have somebody else want us and to
Correct.
find us attractive and all of that. But when we start asking ourselves, when we start to peel apart the trajectory of trying to be desirable to asking ourselves our own desires, tapping into our own pleasure, you find that you become so magnetic to the right people, right? To the kind of love and relationship and trust and safety that you're actually wanting. So it's seeing that desire and desirability are two different things. And the way that we have been raised as women is, to be good, to be nice, to hold
Right.
your tongue, to dress a certain way. And then once you get married, then you should do that. Like there's so many shoulds in there that it really, exactly like you said, it just begins like watering us down and suppressing us and not allowing us to fully embrace all of us. And
Right.
we want to do that, so we start to untangle all of these messages and really like coming back home.
I have a question. So how do we start this whole process where, you know, at the same time though, Danielle, you look at the society now, like the younger kids, they're
Hmm.
out there, right? They are, you know, with male, female, they don't care. They're trying different things, right?
Yeah.
And for a woman, I'm 42, a woman from my generation and older, or who grew up a certain way, you're saying to yourself, what is it that I like,
Hmm.
in the bedroom? Like, really, like, has this been my whole time about the person that I'm with? Am I always thinking in order to get a guy to like me, I have to be a certain way, ignoring what my own desires is? How do you get a woman to open up and say, this is what I like when I'm having sex? Like,
Hmm.
this is what makes me feel comfortable, or this is what turns me on. Do you
Hmm.
find that you get a lot of women
Oh,
who
yeah, 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 yeah.
get
I mean, I'm
anxiety?
yeah, I'm in the same age group as you, and so like
Mhm.
I mean, and a lot of my clients that come to me, a whole variety of ages, right? And even the 25-year-olds freak out about speaking up. They might seem that way on the outside, but when it comes to being vulnerable, right, which it is a vulnerable thing to express your wants in and out of the bedroom, because we might be rejected, right? So, of
Right.
course, like just it starts with understanding like this is a little nerve wracking and that's okay. And
Mhm.
it comes back to like what your entire platform is about is like when we really love ourselves, when we really have our backs, when we say, you know what, baby girl, of course you're scared, but you're worth it,
Right.
then then it allows you to speak up. And it might be shaky the first time, or you might get yourself all amped up and then you don't say it and you love yourself anyway and you try again next time. So it's really just this gentle approach of coming back to yourself, of just like we do other brave things in the world. It starts with loving ourselves and having our own back, and seeing that on the other side of perhaps that shaky conversation or that nervousness to bring it up is, like delicious, yummy pleasure, passion with your partner. I've been with my man for 18 years, and I plan on being with him for the rest of my life. So it's like, I don't want this to be it.
Right.
I want it to keep going. And so when we remember like the bigger picture here and the long-term goal, one or two of those shaky conversations is totally worth it. And just starting to like land in that place and give yourself the love through all of it.
So how do we keep it spicy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for those ladies who are out there who been married 10 years or more, maybe even 5 years or more, you're at a place right now where you're just working, coming home, you're dealing with the
Yeah.
kids, you're so tired, you don't even
Yeah.
know, like by the time you get into bed, you're like, oh, I hope this motherfucker ain't trying to do nothing.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, I think we can all relate to that.
Right.
I think the key here is like let's say I told you that, hey, you know what? I booked you a massage, you're going to be taken care of, you could just relax. Like, you have an association with a massage that's going to feel good and that's
Mhm.
taking care of you. We need to start seeing that sex isn't for our man, isn't for our partner, that it actually can be a pleasurable act of self-care and love and nourishment for you and your body.
Wow.
And when we start to like really flip it like that, because it's not like, even if you had a hard day or everything was long and I was like, hey, Gloria, I got you this massage, you'd be like, I'm
That's
there,
right. That's right.
right?
Hmm. That's
No
right.
thoughts about it, right? But the way, because of that pressure to be desirable and put on a performance, or that it's for him or it's for his benefit or he's asking for it versus this is something I want, then it feels like more effort. It feels in your body like, oh, I got to drag myself there, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to pay attention to what are we like what's the story we're saying about it? What's the narrative we have with sex? And when we start to make those tweaks, it feels like a completely different relationship. You're like, oh yeah, this is for me. Like,
Me. Yeah.
yes, I do want it. And when we begin to prioritize pleasure, this is why with all couples, especially couples in long-term relationships, I know it sounds boring. I know a bunch of you are going to roll your eyes about it, but like, schedule it. Just get over it already. Schedule it. And the reason for that is for you. It's for your pleasure. When you have it on the calendar, you can think about it. You can get yourself in the mood. You can maybe take a nap on your lunch break, or take a bath and have your husband help out with putting the kids to sleep. Like, you will make tweaks to make it more accessible to you, because you know it's coming, and we're not in this stress cycle and our husband's grabbing buns while we're doing dishes and it's like,
Right.
swat away, right?
Right.
Like, we don't
Right.
want to be like that tense like threat. And that's how it feels when we've had a long day and we're in the stress cycle and we're doing all the things. When we can, in our brain, know it's coming, it can be so much more of a relaxed, calm conversation, which actually allows it to be way easier and energizing and like actually feel good.
Yeah, and I think the biggest nugget that I received so far is just flipping it and knowing that it's about you and your pleasure and what it is that you want. So you have that ability to, have those fantasies and see what it is that you want, and get your mind ready for that. So the other
Mm-hmm.
thing is communicating that with your partner. What I find, Danielle, is when you're dating,
Mm-hmm.
you don't give a shit about anything. You're telling them what you want, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're you're saying it, you're doing it, you're having sex everywhere, things are great, and you're just out there, right?
Hmm.
uh, do you find that, because it's a new relationship, that you see more of that? Or is it that at that particular moment, since it's, a couple where you guys are just hanging out, you're just doing anything, because they say when you start the relationship, when things are new, you
Hmm.
communicate more because you're doing the little texting. You're doing all those things
Hmm.
that lead you up, right? To
Yep.
having
Yep.
to having great touch. You're doing the texting, you're doing the calling, hey, come over, I'm gonna leave the door open. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, as time goes by, all that stuff goes down.
Yeah.
So do
Yeah.
you find that a lot of people will say that, like, if it's a new relationship?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the important thing for us to remember, because I think that we have thoughts about that, right? We're like, oh,
Mhm.
well, it's not like it used to be. And
Right.
it was so much better. And I wish I could get back there and should, right? So it's just like more BS that we're putting on ourselves, more pressure, more
Mhm.
shoulds, more all of that. When what I would love to offer you all is like, this is a brain thing.
That's
Brains love novelty, period. Right? It's
mhm.
the same reason you don't smell your shampoo after you've been using it for a long time, except maybe right when you open the bottle. Like
Right.
your brain gets used to it. It's irrelevant information. This is not you not loving your partner. It's not you not desiring that. It's just different. So, exactly what you said when we went back to the beginning of the relationship, what was going on? You were thinking about them. When you were thinking about them in like this juicy, yummy way, you reached out to them, you talked to them, you looked forward to them. You were already creating foreplay in your body leading up to it. Right. So, it's like now you look at it and you're like, oh, did you get the milk? Right? Come on. Like you're not thinking about them except what they're doing wrong, how they're effing up, what they haven't gotten at the store, how they're not helping with your kids, how they don't appreciate you as much. Like we have to look at what is the bulk of the thoughts we're having with our partner if we're thinking about them at all,
Right.
and reminding ourselves we can intentionally plant thoughts in our brain. Like
That's
we
right.
can make ourselves think things on purpose. So when you have like an intention, I want to have more pleasurable sex, I want to have more sex, I want to create desire, and you set out for that, like wake up in the morning and you're like, well, if it's on the calendar tonight, I'm going to start thinking about some things. Like, do you
Yeah.
remember when his hands are on me like that and it just pulls me close? Like, oh, you can just start to like get those juices flowing literally, and like helping yourself by using your brain and recreating what we did when we first started dating, which was having them occupy our brain.
Okay. And this is my last question. How do
Yeah.
you do that without feeling the shame?
Mm. Where would you say the shame is coming from?
Mm, probably, probably from the past of listening, like you said, of being that good girl, or maybe from some kind of trauma or something.
Mm-hmm. So I would ask anybody feeling shame, right, is to see like, oh, like younger me, like that made sense that we thought that,
Mhm.
right? That's what the messages we grew up with. But like, I'm a grown woman. That's not what I believe anymore. I am showing up for the person that I am partnered with, that I love. Like, and you just kind of give a little bit of love to those old memories. Like, oh, I can see that creeping in, like, of course, but like, that's not me
Right.
anymore.
Right.
And I'm learning how to embrace every like inch of me and seeing that there's zero things wrong with this body, with this sensuality, with this passion, with my chosen person. Like, of course, I'm going to move more into that. So it's like showing a little bit of love, understanding that this might come up for you for a while, and then learning how to plant those new seeds is what I like to think of them. These ones that we're working on and cultivating and germinating of like, what are the things that we want to believe about our sexuality and our body and our relationship? And we just practice
Okay.
believing those.
Well, Danielle, thank you so much for being here. I will say, ladies, you got some practicing to do. If your sex life is not up to par or where it should be, Danielle, let them know how to contact you so they can get some tips and things on what they can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I love it. So I love showing up on Instagram. That's where you'll find me the most, at Danielle.Savory. And you can also Google or search on Instagram, The Sex Coach for Women. I also have a podcast called It's My Pleasure. So all of these type of concepts that we're talking about and really working with your brain and your body, I go into way more detail and offer that. And then I also have a group coaching program where we do this kind of work for 3 months in like the most safe, fun, like juicy, loving community of women. And it's a whole program of meditations, practices, journal prompts, things to talk with your partner about, you name it, to really help you get to where you want to be.
That's awesome. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here, and thank you for giving us these nuggets. Okay.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely connect soon.
Sounds good.
All right. See you soon. Bye.